The camera doesn't blink. It watches. Cold, mechanical, capturing every movement, every hesitation, every press of a button. And on January 31st, 2013, it caught something no one could explain. A young woman steps into an elevator inside the Cecil Hotel. Her name is Elisa Lam. She's alone, but she doesn't act like it. She presses multiple buttons, leans out of the door, steps in, steps out, hides in the corner, gestures into the hallway as if someone's there. Then the doors close, and Elisa is gone. No one would see her alive again. For days, her disappearance is met with confusion. Flyers go up. Friends and family plead for help. LAPD conduct a search, on foot, with dogs, even checking the hotel from top to bottom. Still nothing. But the elevator footage, that footage surfaces online. And with it, speculation begins. Some say she's hiding from someone. Others, that she's playing a game. Some say she's not alone. 20 days after she vanished, the water at the Cecil Hotel begins to run strangely. The pressure drops. Guests complain it tastes off. A maintenance worker climbs to the rooftop to check the water tanks. And what he finds there changes everything. Inside a sealed, elevated container, accessed through a heavy lid and a locked door, lies the body of Elisa Lam. No one can say how she got there. No alarm was triggered. No camera saw her climb the stairs. No one reported hearing a thing. The police closed the case. They call it an accident. But behind the scene, something darker was lurking. Something far more unexplained. Or so it seemed. This is not just a story about a missing person. It's about a place with a past. A hotel with too many secrets. And a case that refuses to stay buried.
There's a building in downtown Los Angeles that's seen nearly a century pass it by. On the outside, it's just another hotel, cracked paint, a fading sign, shadowed windows. But within its walls, stories linger. Not whispered rumors or ghost tales. Real stories. Ones the city tries to forget. The Cecil Hotel is not just a place. It's a pattern. And in 2013, something happened here that would bring it back into the light. Her name was Elisa Lam. A 21-year-old university student from Vancouver, British Columbia. Thoughtful. Curious. Open-hearted. She documented her world through photographs, books, and a quiet Tumblr blog called Nouvelle Nouveau. In it, she was honest, sometimes heartbreakingly so. Today I felt okay, but something is off. Elisa Lam, Tumblr, January 2013. She struggled with bipolar disorder and depression, openly. She never hid it. But she was also filled with hope. Eager to live. Determined to see the world. And so, in January 2013, she set off alone. On what was meant to be a soul-searching journey down the California coast. On January 26, Elisa arrived in Los Angeles. She checked into the Stay on Main, a hostel-style budget hotel tucked inside the infamous Cecil Hotel. The two shared elevators, entrances, and a haunting history. Elisa didn't know that, or maybe she did. Either way, she was excited to explore. But something changed after she arrived. Initially assigned to a shared room, her roommates requested she be moved. According to hotel staff, Elisa had been leaving strange notes on the beds. Messages like, "Go home," and "Leave." She was moved to a private room. Eyewitnesses gave conflicting impressions. Some said she was cheerful and chatty, like Katie Orphan, a bookstore manager who helped her pick out gifts for her family. She was by herself, but seemed unsettled. Anonymous guest, Cecil Hotel. No one could fully describe what was going on. But something was different. Elevator CCTV clip begins slowly, no sound, just ambient hum. January 31st. The last day anyone saw her. Surveillance footage from one of the elevators would soon become the internet's most infamous mystery. In the video, Elisa appears confused. She presses multiple buttons. Steps in and out. Looks side to side. Hides in a corner. Gestures toward something, or someone, off-screen. The elevator doors stay open. Too long. Far too long. For 19 days, she was missing. Police searched the building. Cadaver dogs swept the halls. Nothing. Not even a trace. Then, on February 19, hotel guests began complaining about low water pressure, and something strange in the taste. A maintenance worker climbed to the rooftop and opened one of the large black water tanks. Inside was the body of Elisa Lam. Dark ambient visuals, flickers of Tumblr posts, headline overlays. The official cause of death, accidental drowning. But the questions never stopped. How did Elisa access the locked rooftop without setting off alarms? Why was the elevator malfunctioning in that video? Why had she removed her clothes, found floating nearby? And most of all, how did no one see anything, hear anything, or know anything, for weeks? Her bipolar disorder was cited as a contributing factor, but the internet didn't let it end there. Conspiracy theories exploded. Some blamed foul play. Others claimed paranormal activity. A few obsessed over the eerie similarities between her death and a 2005 horror film. But behind every theory, stood a real person. A daughter. A sister. A young woman on a journey she never got to finish. Return to slow LA footage, fade in a quiet piano note, her last Tumblr entry on screen. Elisa Lam's story is one the world can't forget, not just because of how it ended, but because of how many questions it left behind. She went looking for adventure. Instead, she became a mystery that still haunts the halls of the Cecil Hotel. You're always haunted by the idea you're wasting your life. Elisa Lam. In late January 2013, Elisa embarked on a solo trip to California, seeking adventure and a break from her routine. She traveled by Amtrak and intercity buses, documenting her journey through photographs and blog posts. Wikipedia. On January 26, she checked into the Stay on Main Hotel in downtown Los Angeles, a budget-friendly establishment that shared its building with the infamous Cecil Hotel. Initially assigned to a shared room, Elisa's roommates reported unusual behavior, leading hotel staff to move her to a private room. Esquire. During her stay, she visited local attractions, including the Last Bookstore, where she interacted with staff. Katie Orphan, the store manager, recalled Elisa as lively and friendly, discussing books she was purchasing for her family. On January 31, 2013, Elisa was scheduled to check out of the hotel. However, she failed to do so, and her parents, who had been in daily contact with her, reported her missing. In the heart of downtown Los Angeles stands a building with a storied past, the Cecil Hotel. Opened in 1924, it was envisioned as a luxurious destination for business travelers and tourists, boasting a grand marble lobby and opulent furnishings. However, the Great Depression soon cast a shadow over its grandeur, leading to a decline that would span decades. As the surrounding neighborhood deteriorated, the Cecil became a haven for transients and those seeking anonymity. Its walls bore witness to numerous tragedies, suicides, overdoses, and unexplained deaths. The hotel's dark reputation grew, earning it nicknames like the Suicide and Hotel Death. Among its most notorious residents was Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. In the mid-1980s, Ramirez terrorized Southern California with a series of brutal murders and assaults. He reportedly stayed at the Cecil during his killing spree, returning to his room after each crime, his presence unnoticed in a place where anonymity was the norm. In 1991, Austrian serial killer Jack Unterweger checked into the Cecil under the guise of a journalist researching crime in Los Angeles. During his stay, he murdered 3 women, mirroring the crimes that had once imprisoned him in Austria. His choice of lodging was no coincidence. Unterweger was reportedly fascinated by Ramirez and sought to emulate his infamy. The hotel's grim history isn't limited to its infamous guests. In 1964, Pigeon Goldie Osgood, a retired telephone operator and long-term resident, was found murdered in her room, a crime that remains unsolved to this day. Despite attempts to rebrand and renovate, the Cecil's dark legacy persists. Its corridors echo with tales of despair, and its name remains synonymous with tragedy. What was it about this building that seemed to attract death? On February 13, 2013, the Los Angeles Police Department released a surveillance video that would captivate and confound millions worldwide. Captured on January 31, the footage shows 21-year-old Elisa Lam in a hotel elevator, exhibiting behavior that is both perplexing and unsettling. The video begins with Elisa entering the elevator and pressing multiple buttons in a seemingly random sequence. She then steps back, appearing to wait, but the elevator doors remain open. Elisa peeks out into the hallway, quickly retreats, and presses herself against the wall, as if hiding from someone, or something. She steps out again, gesturing with her hands in erratic motions, before disappearing from view. Throughout the video, the elevator doors behave unusually, staying open for an extended period and only closing after Elisa has left. The tab. The footage quickly went viral, amassing millions of views and sparking a myriad of theories. Some viewers speculated that Elisa was playing the elevator game, a supposed supernatural ritual originating from South Korea. Others believed she was experiencing a psychotic episode, possibly related to her diagnosed bipolar disorder. The toxicology report later revealed no traces of illicit drugs in her system, but did indicate that Elisa had not been taking her prescribed medication consistently. Further scrutiny of the video led to allegations of tampering. Observers noted that the timestamp was obscured and that the footage appeared to have been slowed down, with nearly a minute of footage allegedly missing. These anomalies fueled conspiracy theories, suggesting a possible cover-up or the involvement of another party. But where was Elisa? And why was the water in the hotel tasting strange? In the days following Elisa Lam's disappearance, something began to unsettle the guests of the Cecil Hotel. The water pressure in the building had dropped. Faucets sputtered inconsistently. And more disturbingly, the water itself had turned dark. Some guests reported that their showers had a foul smell. Others noticed a strange taste when brushing their teeth or filling a glass. What they didn't know was that their complaints would soon lead to a chilling discovery. On the morning of February 19, a hotel maintenance worker, tasked with investigating the water tanks on the roof, made his way to the top floor. The regular route was locked and alarmed, but the fire escape, as many later speculated, could be accessed from a hallway window. Climbing the narrow metal stairs to the rooftop, he noticed one of the 4 large water tanks had its lid slightly ajar. Curious, and concerned, he climbed the ladder and peered inside. "I saw something floating," he would later recall. It was the body of a young woman, submerged in the murky water. She was lying face up, her skin pale, her clothes and personal items drifting nearby. The woman was soon identified as Elisa Lam. The tank had to be drained and cut open to retrieve her body, because the opening was too small to remove it the conventional way. She was found completely nude. Her clothing, wristwatch, and room key floated alongside her. But her cell phone was missing, and has never been found. How had Elisa Lam ended up in the tank? The rooftop was protected by locked doors and alarm systems. Hotel staff stated that triggering the alarm would alert security. But no such alert was logged. That left only one possibility: someone had accessed the roof using the fire escape. The hatch to the water tank itself had no locking mechanism, but lifting its heavy lid and climbing in without assistance would have been difficult, and dangerous. Was she trying to hide? Was she confused, or scared? Did someone follow her? Her autopsy ruled the cause of death as accidental drowning. There were no signs of physical trauma or assault. However, the toxicology report indicated that Elisa had not been consistently taking her prescribed medications. This led investigators to consider the possibility of a psychological episode. Still, questions lingered. If she had climbed into the tank herself, how did she close the lid behind her? Why was the elevator surveillance footage so heavily edited? And why did the hotel take over 2 weeks to respond to her disappearance? A girl had vanished. A hotel's water ran black. And even with a body found, the answers remained as murky as the tank itself. The official cause of death was accidental drowning. Elisa Lam's autopsy showed no signs of trauma. No evidence of assault. No drugs, apart from traces of her prescription medication, used to manage her bipolar disorder. But the dosages found in her system raised more questions than answers. It appeared she hadn't been taking her medication regularly, or perhaps had stopped altogether. To some, that explained everything. To others, nothing at all. Because facts on paper didn't line up with the reality of what happened. There was no clear explanation for how she accessed the hotel's rooftop. Doors leading up were locked, alarmed, and meant to be staff only. The theory? She used the fire escape. A side window, a staircase, a quiet climb in the dark. Risky, but possible. Then, there was the water tank. It was tall, industrial, sealed with a heavy metal lid. Too high to see into. Too narrow to easily enter. And once inside, impossible to climb back out. Was she seeking isolation? Or did she believe someone was after her? There were no fingerprints, no witnesses. And the hatch had somehow been closed again. Her clothes were found floating beside her. Her phone was never recovered. Some of her social media pages continued to update in the days that followed. And of course, the elevator footage. Her strange movements. The talking to someone unseen. The fear. The moments of stillness. The way the doors refused to close. Some said it was psychosis. A tragic consequence of untreated mental illness. Others weren't so sure. Online, theories exploded. Some pointed to supernatural explanations. Others claimed she was being stalked. There were whispers of hidden footage, of hotel cover-ups. Speculation drowned out the facts. And through it all, one question remained. If Elisa entered the tank alone, why wasn't her death caught on any camera? Why was the footage edited? Why did the hotel wait so long? Heartbeat slows. A soft, rhythmic thump fades into silence. But there's something no one can explain. The elevator footage was supposed to shed light on Elisa Lam's final moments. Instead, it opened a floodgate of confusion. In the video, Elisa steps into the elevator. She presses multiple buttons, seemingly at random. The doors remain open. Seconds stretch into minutes. She peeks into the hallway. Then quickly recoils. She steps out again. Her hands move in strange, almost deliberate gestures, as if she's speaking to something, or someone, no one else can see. But then, something more troubling. The timestamp in the video skips. Frames appear to be missing. Parts of her movements are subtly, but clearly, edited out. A moment here, a jump there. As if someone had trimmed the footage before releasing it. The question is, why? Was it a technical glitch? Or was something being hidden? To this day, no one can confirm what truly happened between those missing seconds. And that's not the only inconsistency. The water tank where Elisa's body was found had a heavy metal lid. Some reports say the lid was shut when her body was discovered. Others claim it was already open. Both can't be true. How could she have closed it from the inside? The roof was supposed to be off-limits. Alarmed. Locked. And yet, she was up there. Alone. Then there's the matter of her phone. It was never found. Gone without a trace. And Elisa's Tumblr. Her blog continued to update even after her death. Was it queued posts set up in advance? Or was someone else posting, after she was gone? These aren't the questions asked in official reports. These are the gaps that remain, open, haunting, unexplained. The timeline ends. The facts freeze. And we're left staring at the empty spaces where answers should be. Heartbeat slows, then silence. But there's something no one can explain. The Cecil Hotel is not just another old building in downtown Los Angeles. It's a place where time seems to fold in on itself. Where every hallway feels like a passage into something unknown. Over the decades, this building has become a magnet, for tragedy, for darkness, and for stories that defy logic. Long before Elisa Lam walked through its lobby, the hotel had already earned its reputation. It has seen jumpers, overdoses, disappearances. It has sheltered some who left and never came back, and others who never left at all. It became a temporary home to known killers, and an accidental stage for unexplained deaths. But what makes it different from any other hotel touched by crime? Those who believe in the paranormal will tell you, it's the energy. They speak of a presence, something watching, lingering. They mention cold spots, flickering lights, and whispers in rooms that should have been empty. Guests have reported waking up to find someone, something, standing at the foot of their beds. Others describe a shadow that moves just out of sight, always following, never seen in full. Some believe it's a curse tied to the land, or perhaps to the building itself. Others think it's the result of years of grief, fear, and violence, soaked into the walls like smoke. Paranormal investigators have come, armed with cameras, motion sensors, and audio recorders. Some left with chilling recordings, electronic voice phenomena, faint voices answering questions no one asked aloud. And in all of it, there's a pattern. Not just in the tragedies, but in the feelings. An unshakable heaviness. A presence. So when Elisa Lam vanished inside this place, people began to wonder, was it just another story in a long, tragic history? Or was there something here, waiting for her? What is it about this place, that draws them in? Before the headlines, before the grainy elevator video, there was Elisa. She was 21 years old. A student. A daughter. A sister. A thoughtful young woman who wrote honestly and often about her world. In her blog posts, she shared her internal battles, days of feeling okay, and days where even getting out of bed felt like a victory. She was human. Complex. Sensitive. Curious. Elisa had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. She was managing it with medication. Some days were better than others, as anyone with mental illness can understand. But what's often forgotten is this: she was trying. Trying to live, to travel, to find peace in unfamiliar places. Her trip to Los Angeles was meant to be a moment of freedom. An escape from routine. A solo journey to a city she'd never been to, filled with museums, bookstores, and people watching from quiet cafes. But somewhere along the way, something went wrong. What followed was a flood of media frenzy, public obsession, and endless theories. People dissected her behavior, analyzed her final moments, and spun stories around her death. But in that noise, her voice, the real Elisa, was often lost. One of her blog entries read, "You're always haunted by the idea that you're wasting your life." It wasn't just a dramatic thought, it was her truth. Her vulnerability. Her way of making sense of a world that felt overwhelming. And it wasn't just the hotel that failed her. It wasn't just about locked doors, missing footage, or rooftop access. There's a bigger question. A deeper one. Where was the safety net? Where was the system meant to protect someone like her? We don't talk enough about the cracks people fall through. About the silence that surrounds mental illness. About how society reacts, too late, after the damage is done. Her family traveled from Vancouver to LA in search of her. When they returned home, it was without their daughter. And that's what this story really is. Not just about what happened in the elevator. Not just about the theories. But about a young woman who needed help. A young woman who wanted to be seen, and instead became a mystery. Before she became a headline, she was Elisa. A mystery still unsolved. A young woman who dreamed of exploring the world, only to find herself lost in a place with too many secrets to ignore. Elisa Lam's story did not end with her disappearance or the discovery of her body. It only marked the beginning of questions that refuse to fade, questions that haunt the edges of reason and logic. The elevator footage showed her behaving strangely, hiding, pressing buttons, speaking to no one. Moments so baffling, they sparked countless theories. Was it mental illness? A sinister presence? Or something that science cannot yet explain? The hotel where she stayed, the Cecil, has a long and dark history. Murders, suicides, and tragedies have stained its walls, but none quite like this. More unsettling still, certain facts don't add up. Why was the water in the hotel reported to taste strange before Elisa's disappearance? How did she gain access to the rooftop water tanks, places almost impossible for guests to reach? Why do pieces of the elevator footage appear edited or missing? Who made those edits, and why? Even the autopsy leaves room for doubt, ruled an accidental drowning, yet no clear explanation for how she ended up inside the tank. No drugs or alcohol found, no sign of struggle. Her belongings undisturbed, her clothing intact. How does someone climb into a water tank alone, unnoticed? And what about the water itself? Something many guests had complained about. Something that felt off. The silence in the investigation is deafening. The gaps in the timeline are unnerving. Is this a story about a girl who slipped through the cracks of mental health care? Or a haunting echo of the building's troubled past? Or something else? What remains certain is this: Elisa Lam was more than just a viral video or a tragic headline. She was a person. A young woman with hopes, fears, and a future that never came. And while the world debates theories, her family lives with the pain of unanswered questions. Tonight, the shadows grow longer. The corridors of the Cecil Hotel grow colder. And the mystery remains. Was Elisa Lam a victim of something unknown, something beyond human understanding? Or was she a victim of a world that too often ignores those struggling in silence? What do you believe happened to Elisa? Comment your theory below. And if you think ghosts don't exist, just wait until you see what's coming next. Please subscribe for more videos.